Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday morning. We're here at the Biz Chat with Lisa. And today, my guest is Dan Vargas, Operations Manager for Accelerated Global Connections. This episode today is brought to you by Perfect Virtual Assistants, where we help people buy back their time by getting back-end support through Filipino talent. Anyway, welcome to the show, Dan. Happy to have you here.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Love to be here. Glad to be here.
Yeah, good. We're going to talk a little bit. I'm going to have Dan introduce himself a little bit and tell a little bit about his story. He's got a very interesting story and how he became operations manager for AGC. So tell us a little bit about your history and your work history.
Yeah.
Because we're talking here.
Yeah, well, I certainly have a unique past when it comes to my my work. I think, post-college days, I got into retail, and that was my start kind of in the sales world. I got a job working for a company called Coolman that was in the Galleria in Edina, and worked retail for a couple years, selling men's clothes. And then my mentor took me under his wing, and we opened a couple clothing stores in the Uptown area. It was called Atmosphere, which Atmosphere still exists today. I bought out one of the. Say that again.
It does.
It does. Now Atmosphere is located in the North Loop, and they primarily focus on selling suits for men's for weddings. And they have developed a really incredible business doing that. It's some of the people we worked with when we first started, and they have done an incredible job with that brand. So that was my first foray into business, but I ended up buying out one of the locations and opened my own clothing store. And I owned that for about 10 years, and it had two iterations. One was men's and women's boutique, and the second iteration in the same location was selling clothes as well as renting designer gowns for women. So it was kind of like Rent the Runway, but you'd actually come in and try the gowns on, and that went very well for a couple years. But Uptown, as we all know, has not seen its best day over the last 10 years, and traffic is kind of downhill. So it was a hard location, and I was ready to get out of retail. And so then I transitioned into opening a co-working space called The Study in Uptown that I ran for a couple years. And that was a really fun business venture. It was kind of a private social club / co-working space. But I've also always done events. So has been my passion through most of my life. I started doing events in the early 2000s. I launched my first New Year's event called the Crystal Ball, and that is still going strong to this day. So I've been hosting that event for this will be my 25th anniversary this year.
I think I must come this year.
Have you not been yet?
I have not been.
It is the longest running New Year's party ever in Minnesota, and we've hosted it at a few different venues, International Market Square for 15 years. And now we found a new home at the top floor of the IDS Tower. It's called Windows on Marquette, and it's a beautiful, incredible venue that we've been at for the last 4 years. And we have still a couple years on our contract, so still going strong. And so that's my work history. And now I'm with AGC. And if you want, I can get into that story as well now. Or do you have some other questions?
I want to talk a little bit about your sailing excursions. So how did you, and then, because you did you start sailing before you started with Travis?
Yes.
Okay.
So at the end of the study, I had myself I guess you'd probably call it a pretty serious midlife crisis. And, I think something was just missing in my life. It was some sort of adventure. I've always been a bit of a wild card, and it hit me about 2018 that I felt like I hadn't done anything really adventurous in my life, and started thinking about, if I don't do something adventurous, then I just don't know if I'll forgive myself. And started doing a little research on travel and landed on sailing around the world. So that was kind of our plan. And so my girlfriend and I, we learned how to sail, found a sailboat, bought the boat in 2018, late 18, and moved aboard the boat in 2019 with a plan to literally sail around the world over a few year period.
Which is, I gotta stop there because not everybody says, "Hey, I'm going to go sail around the world." That's a pretty big endeavor to even think about.
Yeah.
So,
and it is a big endeavor to do, which we realized very quickly. And we made it from Florida to the Bahamas, and that's where we ended up staying. So we made it out of, the 20, what's the circumference of the planet? It was in about 22,000 miles, and we made it about 50. And we decided that that's where we're going to stay for a while. We just fell in love with the Bahamas instantly. We lived aboard our sailboat for seasonally for 6 years. We just sold it last week, our first boat. We will be getting a second boat, but we ended up spending our winters in the Bahamas from 2019 to 2024. And we'd be there about 6 months at a shop. It was an incredible experience. But like I said, sailing around the world is a very different experience than people might think, because that's an endeavor on its own. Spending up to 50 days alone in the ocean crossing the Pacific is a daunting thought process. So, and it's a mental game too. I won't go into the whole life lessons about, sailing and all those things, but
we'll do that another day.
Yeah, another day. I'd love to chat more about it because there's so much to talk about. There's so many life lessons that we learned about what we need to be happy. How little we need to be happy. We've downsized our life since then incredibly. We can fit everything we own into a minivan, and we are very mobile, very, very liquid in our lives now. And that has been such a freeing experience. And that's something we could talk about for hours on it.
That is a huge lesson. I mean, I can't even, I look around and go, oh my God, no, I could never.
Right. Yeah. Most people couldn't fit one room of their life into a minivan. We fit everything. Well, it might be a minivan and a half now.
Now that you're settled a little bit. So,
but we're still fairly liquid.
Well, we want to talk about Excel Global Connections, which is a networking group that was started by Travis Sims and has taken a position with them to help grow the community.
Yeah.
So when did you become involved in AGC, and how? We want to talk about networking.
Yeah. So I'll tell you I'll give you the quick story. When I had the co-working space, I was invited to a BNI chapter, and Travis was the regional director for BNI at the time. And I had a great experience with that company. I was very well networked in the Twin Cities. I knew many, many people from doing events for 17 years at that point. A lot of people knew who I was. So I thought I had a great network until I started actually networking. I learned a lot of very serious lessons about how the quality of my relationships once I started in a BNI chapter. And it just taught me that, the real depth of relationships is much more important than the quantity of your relationships. And that I was a quantity over quality at the time. So we started doing events at my co-working space. And that's how I really started a relationship with Travis. And it was through networking. We became friends. I left BNI shortly after that to start my sailing life. And Travis left BNI and started AGC, which was primarily an event-based business meant to bring community to the BNI world. BNI was very much a chapter-driven company, and we realized that there was a need for community building outside of that, and that was kind of the brainchild of AGC. Fast forward now 4 or 5 years, or 6, 7 years, and AGC has started to launch our own chapter-based networking groups called pods. And because of that experience, I'm an event person, so AGC as an event company wasn't necessarily something that I was, it should be something that I'd be interested and excited about being involved. But I think AGC was running very smoothly on its own at that point. But once Travis decided to launch this new product, which are pods, that was really something that I got excited about because of my experience in the past. And so 2 years ago, I said, listen, I'd love to help with this arm of AGC. And so I started out doing some recruiting as a side hustle. It was a very part-time thing. I was not thinking it would turn into a normal job or a new career. And then it turned into starting to coach these groups. And I found a stride there. It was something I hadn't anticipated, and I was very good at it and productive at it. And now fast forward 2 years later, now I've, coached and launched a series of my own pods. And just from my experience with my other businesses, have been able to help Travis and AGC grow over 100% over the last year. We're on track to do more than that this year. So very exciting. And I don't want to, I'm not trying to say that's all me. I think the combination of Travis and myself is powerful. And I feel privileged to be a part of it. I love working for Travis. I love working under him. I'm usually my own boss. So it's been a paradigm shift for me, but he's a fantastic person. He's been great to work with and has been very patient with my learning. So, but everything in my life really has come from networking.
Well, we were talking about that right before we started, of the power of networking, because you are now in this position through all of these years, networking. You met Travis now through networking. And what is the statistic? The statistic is, I heard that it was not 100% accurate, but we're like 90% of all jobs are gotten through networking. But a very large percentage comes from networking.
It's about 80%.
80%
jobs are found through networking,
which is incredible.
Yeah, 100% for me. 100% for me.
100%.
Every job I've ever had my entire life, except for when I was dishwashing at the local diner when I was a kid, has happened through networking. My event business happened through networking. My clothing business happened through people that I met through that business. My AGC, my things that I've done through sailing. I ended up becoming during COVID, I couldn't do my events, and I became a base manager for Dream Yacht Charter, which is the largest charter company in the world. I managed their charter base in Key West and got promoted to managing their charter base in Annapolis for a little under 2 years. And that was all through the networking I did when I was sailing, and people that I met that hired me. Yeah.
So let's talk about networking. Let's talk about what exactly it is, because people think networking is going to an event and going to another event, going to another event, but it's deeper than that.
Yeah.
If you really want to get into networking and allow it to bring you the power of like what it's brought to you, it's more than just attending events or being a part of a chapter. So let's talk about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the definition of networking is the process of building and maintaining relationships for a purpose, whatever that purpose is. And the two key words here are building and maintaining. So going to events is a very important part. Attending, chapter meetings, chambers, going to industry conferences, anything like that, being a part of any local business group is part of networking, but it's only part, right? So you meet somebody and you need to build a relationship with that person. And that's the power of networking, is the building and maintaining. So meeting somebody is the first step. Building and maintaining that relationship are really the keys, right? So you need to, it's like, the best analogy I can think of is like dating, right? You meet somebody, you go on a date. If you only go on a date with that person once every couple months, your relationship isn't going to blossom very quickly. It might over long term, but it'll take very long. If you go on a date with that person once a week, which is what most of us probably do, or more often. If we really like somebody, we spend every day with them. So we've all been there, and we build that relationship really quickly. And through that, we also build trust, and that's what solidifies the relationship long term. Nobody's going to do business with people they don't know. Nobody's going to do business with somebody they don't trust.
Right.
And the only way to achieve that is by building and maintaining that relationship that you start at a networking event or a chamber.
Well, and I can attest to that because I met Dan a year ago in February. I was connected through my virtual assistant on LinkedIn with Travis. So we had a phone call.
Yeah.
He explained to me what AGC was and invited me to an event the next night where Dan was, and Dan was talking about these weekly pods. And I approached Dan and said, I want to go attend. So I went the next day. And now I've been part of AGC, I guess, now for 14 months. And I have met some of the most amazing people, you included.
Thank you.
And have maintained built those relationships. And every time I go to a meeting now or an event, I recognize people, I see people. So it's been 14 months of seeing the same people over and over. And from that, business is starting to happen and things like that. But more importantly, I mean, we're all going for the same reason. We're going there to network because we want more money coming to our bottom line. We're not going there for fun. I do because it's my social life as well. But but it's vitally important. And I'm a social person. So for me, it's fun. Some people, very introverted, it's uncomfortable for them. That's why I try to approach people who are new to our events, which we indicate by having a blue dot on your name tag, to welcome people. But I have found networking, and in all the years I've been in business, I never networked before. So I'm an old dog learning new tricks.
Here. So let me ask you a question. Do you feel like you have seen the value now that you've invested some of your time?
The value is definitely there. The value is absolutely there.
One thing, if I can stop you for a second, you said something that I think is really important to talk about here, and that is the time frame that networking takes to be effective. And you said, you've been in for 14 months. I think a lot of people, they go to these networking events and they go there to sell whatever they do, right? And networking events, if I can give people a little bit of advice, is networking events are not a place that you go to sell, because everybody else there is there to sell. And what are none of us there to be done?
Buying.
We're not there to be sold to.
Right.
So networking events should be looked at as a place to build your network. It's a place to meet people and to tap into their networks, right?
Right.
There are some statistics I'll share with you. People can maintain about 150 really high quality relationships in their life, that have some sort of value and trust. It's about 5 friends, about 20 good friends, and about 50 really good acquaintances, and then about 150 people that you have some sort of level of trust. So, if you have a really tight network of about 20 people, that's about 3,000 people that you have access to, right? So it's the ripple effect of building a network. But you have to build that trust. And the thing that you had said is that you've been there for 14 months, and people go to these events and they go to chambers and they expect that they're going to get something out of it immediately. That's not how networking works. You need to invest time and effort. You're seeing results now because you spent a year building those relationships. And it's more than just showing up to a weekly meeting. It's going to coffee. It's learning about each other's businesses. It's how can I help other people too? That whole process takes time. But if you invest that time, say over the course of a year, you're going to see amazing everything that I've developed took probably over a year to develop, but it's changed my life incredibly. And
I wanted to touch on something else. You said, because we go to these events, you said, and then you go to coffee or something. So it's not just about attending the events either. It's about having one-on-one conversations and getting to know each other on a personal level.
Yeah.
And really diving into their business and your business and how you can help each other.
Yeah.
Or at least be an ear listening for what that person is looking for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's You need to. It's also important to understand what AGC is we are a system. That's what we've done, is we've systemized networking, right? We've systemized relationship building. We don't do it for you. Joining AGC is not itself going to change your life. But if you follow our system, if you follow the parameters of what we suggest you do, then you will see you have to put the work in. It's like anything, we systemize everything in our life, right? We system our finances. We create budgets to follow. We systemize our workout routines. If you go to the gym, you're not going to do one arm and then one leg, right? We do our arms, we do our back, we do our core, then we do our legs at different times. But we don't systemize our networking, right? How have we created a structure that we follow? And that's what AGC has done, is we've created systems and structure and blueprints that if you follow, you're going to see results down the line. You're going to see big results.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
So we are almost at time. We could talk over. It goes fast. But should we talk about the wine and cheese event on Thursday?
Yeah, I'd love it. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, AGC is we do three things, and I'm just gonna really quickly. We
have time. We don't need to.
We do three things. We have all of our events, which we host 5 or 6 events a month. We have our pods, which is really where you're building the strong relationships. And we do ongoing education. So we provide courses and classes that you can attend that will enhance your skill set as a person, as a networker, as a business. Our event business is really fun because it's where we build community, right? And this is we do a quarterly event, and this is one of our quarterly events. So it's a wine and cheese event, and it's casual. You're going to do great networking, but it's not the main purpose is to network, but it's to have fun doing it and get to know people.
For sure.
Without, some sort of heavy networking purpose. So it's bring a bottle of wine that you love. What's your favorite wine? Bring a brick of cheese that you love, that you found, and we're going to share that as a community. So you're just going to go and sample a little bit of wine. You're going to sample a little bit of cheese. You're going to pair some things together, and you're going to have some fun doing it. I'm a total foodie, love wine, love cheese.
Me too.
And what a great way to just have some fun with each other and get to know each other a little bit.
So this is Thursday night at Brick and Mortar, downtown Minneapolis, and I will have a link in the comments. If people want to register, there is, is this one free for first time?
Absolutely people? Free. And it's next Thursday. It's April 23rd.
Oh, it's April 23rd.
Yes.
Okay. I was thinking it was this Thursday. Good. Thank you for correcting me.
5 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Brick and Mortar. Yes.
Okay. We will have that. I really appreciate you being on here, Dan. Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure. And thanks for having me.
Thank you all for watching. I hope you have a fabulous day. Until next time.
See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.